and to a new episode of Europe at Home. Thank you again for all of the comments that came in overnight. I don't know about you, but I've been dancing to Greek music ever since those wonderful musicians left us. Tonight we have an equally beautiful but very different program, and we're going to be celebrating the marvelous country of Poland and bringing you exclusively Polish music from different ages. I'm thrilled to welcome two outstanding young artists, the cellist Suzanne Szambelan and the pianist Katarzyna Wasiak. Welcome. We're going to start tonight with a piece, originally a song, which we transcribed for violin and piano. It's by one of the most famous Polish composers, Karol Szymanowski. It's his Opus 2 number 1, one of 6 songs, and it has a beautiful title, The World Stayed Far Away. That was music by Karol Szymanowski, a song, very early piece of his written in 1900, and with the rather mystic and beautiful title, The World Stayed Far Away. And I guess that's rather fitting to where we are at this moment. Music full of melancholy and longing for a different world and a different planet. But firstly, welcome, Dorice. Wonderful to have you both here.
Thank you very much.
And tell us a little bit about Szymanowski. He's sometimes regarded as the most celebrated of the 20th century composers, or certainly the early 20th century composers. How important is he still for Polish music?
He is not only an important composer, but also he was a creator of musical life in Poland during his lifetime. And he is very often played and also abroad. We are very happy about it. And what I associate with his music is this very typical you could say, Polish nostalgia and his great love for Tatra mountains. He had a house, Atma, in Zakopane, and I think I can hear this very bright and view and very big space that you can reach and see only in the mountains.
Wonderful. Well, we're now going to play a piece, or Suzanne, you're going to play a piece for us by one of the most important Polish contemporary composers. He passed away, sadly, only about a year ago, Krzysztof Penderecki. Tell us a little bit about your connection to him and his music.
Yes, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. We are very happy and honored to be here and represent Poland and play a program for you full of Polish music and to play with you. Thank you so much.
It's a great pleasure.
And that's right, I would love to start with Penderecki to honor his memory and play for you two movements from, I would say, one of his iconic pieces, Divertimento for cello solo. And I really love this story behind this piece. It was written in 1994, but let's move 1 year before that, when Krzysztof Penderecki went to the concert where Schubert C major quintet was performed. And there's this amazing, beautiful solo of first violin and first cello in the slow movement. And that left a huge impact on Penderecki, and something really changed in him. So before that, his compositions were really wild, and he was using really crazy technique. There's a piece on cello called Capriccio per Siegfried Palm, when we have to hit the cello, play on the bridge. It's really very, very wild sounds, yeah, that we had to create. And after that concert with Schubert, that was a turning point, and Krzysztof Penderecki wrote a clarinet quartet with the title Farewell. And I speak about this quartet because 3 movements have the same name as the titles and as the Divertimento. And also Divertimento derives from the motifs from this quartet. So it's beautiful to have this piece for cello solo, to be able to play this evidence of the turn in his compositions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to play for you Serenade and Scherzo.
Wonderful. Brava, that was absolutely fantastic. My goodness me. And from memory as well, two movements of a piece by Krzysztof Penderecki, the amazing composer who sadly passed away a year ago. And I was lucky to know him and to work with him a few times. He was one of the few left-handed conductors. And that sounds perhaps nothing so unusual, but I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, it is, because when you conduct with the left hand, you're very close to the soloist. And I remember him warning me, saying, I might hit you if you move too close. And he did indeed hit me in a performance of the Beethoven Concerto in France. He was a wonderful man, so good-natured and such an inspiration, as his wife is, and what they do and did for music in Poland is quite incredible. You've brought now another piece by a composer who is equally exciting and who's enjoyed a huge renaissance in the last few years, and that's Weinberg.
Yes.
Someone who was born in Warsaw, who escaped at the last minute when the Nazis invaded Poland and went firstly to the Crimea and then to Russia. What is the piece that you're going to play now by him?
I will play the first movement from his sonata. He wrote 4 sonatas for cello solo and also 1 sonata for piano and cello. So for some reason, I think he felt close with that instrument. And as you said, Weinberg had a very difficult life. And for sure, you can hear that in his music. It's very sorrowful and very dark. And that's true that we speak about him more and more often, but I still have the impression, even I'm talking about myself, that Weinberg is still a composer that should be way more explored and discovered.
I agree with you there, absolutely. And I can encourage anybody to go and look out the music of Weinberg. There are symphonies, there's an opera, The Passenger, there's concertos for different instruments, tremendous visionary composer.
Absolutely.
Let's hear it. That was very moving, very beautiful indeed. Thank you. The first movement of the Sonata for Solo Cello by Weinberg. And if you're just joining us, this is another episode of Europe at Home, and we are celebrating Poland tonight, an exclusive Polish program with a variety of different musical styles played by my two wonderful guests. And I think if we were going to have an episode dedicated to Poland, there's one composer that just has to be played, and that's Chopin. I think we're all in agreement there, not just because I love him and I want to hear it played this evening on this beautiful piano, but also because he is a central figure in musical life in Poland. And you're going to play one of his most famous etudes. Which one is it?
I would play the Revolutionary Etude by Frédéric Chopin. But before I do so, I would like to just say that Zuzia and I, we both share the admiration for Weinberg. I discovered him for myself a few years ago and decided to write my thesis on his piano music. Also last year, I recorded his chamber music together with Berlin-based string quartet, Noga String Quartet, and violinist Robert Kowalski. And while writing my thesis, I discovered that in the last 36 years of his life, he didn't write any piece for piano, although he had studied piano at the Warsaw Conservatory. But in his second last symphony, Kaddish, he quotes the beginning of Frédéric Chopin's ballad in G minor twice. So
a connection to the past there. And this revolutionary etude you're going to play is called the Revolutionary Etude because it was at the same time as the uprising, the Polish uprising against Russia. And it must have had a profound effect upon Chopin. He also said that he could never imagine the pain that he felt, which somehow goes into this beautiful piece. This is really one of the most important pieces for any pianist, is it not?
Yes, you definitely hear it nearly every time when a contestant in a Chopin piano competition plays. You can always hear it from each practice room.
Well, this is not a competition this evening, just a house concert, and I'm the very lucky listener, so I'll enjoy this. Wonderful, thank you so much. The revolutionary etude by Frédéric Chopin, written around 1831 and played this evening right here in my living room. I feel so lucky to get to experience this music so close up and also to discover new pieces. And you're now going to play a piece by Spielmann, which is also a fascinating story.
Władysław Spielmann is normally well known from the film by Roman Polanski, The Pianist. But I actually wanted to tell you a little story. I possessed a grand piano which had been previously the property of the Polish radio in Warsaw, and I keep it in Berlin in Musikkapelle where I work. And this beautiful Blüthner from 1927 was in need of renovation, and that's how I discovered the Polish radio stamp with the date 1960 inside the piano. That was exactly the time when Władysław Spielmann was the head of the Polish radio music department, and actually one can say with high probability that he played this piano himself.
Fantastic. And I mean, I was very, very moved by that film, The Pianist, as I'm sure many people were, and his whole story. And through that, there's been a renaissance with his music. And you're going to play a piece which is a kind of a homage to Chopin.
Exactly. Władysław Spielmann wrote this piece in 1942 in Warsaw Ghetto. He played this piece in cafes to survive the war and to secure his family's existence. It wasn't permitted to play Chopin because Nazis had forbidden his music in their efforts to destroy Polish cultural identity. And every time when I play this piece, I try to imagine how he possibly could have felt playing this music in front of invaders. And I can imagine that he must have had an enormous sense of solitude, and hopefully also a bit of consolation at the same time.
Katarzyna Wasiak. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. The homage, mazurka homage to Chopin by Spielmann, played by my guest this evening. And you were saying that he would play that in certain cafes in Warsaw in order to try and make a living. And in fact, the next composer that we're going to perform, Lutosławski, again, an extremely important composer in Polish culture, also was forced to perform during the war in coffee houses and in cafes, also to make a living. And he did so with the composer Andrzej Panufnik. And we're going to play a piece by Panufnik at the end of tonight's episode. But first, Lutosławski, what are we going to hear?
Yes, now we will perform together with Katarzyna Grave, Metamorphosis for cello and piano. And this piece was written to honor the memory of a close friend and admirer of Lutosławski's music, Stefan Jarociński, who was a musicologist. And also, Stefan Jarociński loved Debussy music. That's why Lutosławski decided to start this piece with a quote from Pellé's Mélisande. So the 4 opening notes in cello, they also appeared later on at the end. They are a quote from Debussy music. But that's all from the similarities between both of them. The rest is written in Lutosławski style. And as I mentioned before, this piece has a subtitle, Metamorphosis. And Lutosławski meant here the rhythmical values that undergo a gradual breakup, meaning they become shorter and shorter, and that creates the effect of accelerando, of speeding up. And once Lutosławski said in a lecture, let's make a simple statement right at the beginning, that the supreme aim of science is to look for the truth, and for arts is to look for the beauty. However, in maths or any other science, we can find the moments of real beauty. Equally, in arts, we can find the moments of truth. And I think this sentence really fits to this piece, because this is a beautiful example how something scientific, so to say, as written, creates a real emotion. Yes, it's really wonderful. Of course, it comes together with the pitch. We start quite low and we go up. So the build-up is made from, of course, different components, but here the rhythm is the most important. So.
Well, let's discover the truth in that case and listen to Lutosławski's Grave. Bravi, thank you very much indeed. That was the Grave by Lutosławski, played by my two guests this evening. And we are coming, sadly, to the end of tonight's episode. But before we play the final piece, you've brought something which I've been looking at. Tell us, what is that?
Yes, right. I've brought a book because when I think about Poland, when I'm here in Berlin, language is something that I admit sometimes miss. I miss expressing myself in a very free way. And of course, the easiest way is to call my family and wonderful friends. But also for me, the way to connect with Poland is to read in Polish. And I brought a book by Olga Tokarczuk, our recent Nobel Prize winner, and we are very proud of her. Also, it was a very beautiful moment when she won the Nobel Prize. Everybody in Poland were buying her books, and I think also that was a beautiful feeling of connection between all of us. And also, I wanted to speak shortly about her wonderful Nobel Prize speech. As I read it, I was really deeply moved, and I think it's a very important voice for each of us. And I would love to read for you a few words from this speech, and maybe you'll be curious enough to find this speech online and have a moment, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I do. Czułość jest tą najskromniejszą odmianą miłości. To ten jej rodzaj, który nie pojawia się w pismach ani w Ewangeliach. Nikt na nią nie przysięga, nikt się nie powołuje. Nie ma swoich emblematów ani symboli. Nie prowadzi do zbrodni ani zazdrości. Pojawia się tam, gdzie z uwagą i skupieniem zaglądamy w drugi byt, w to, co nie jest ja. Tenderness is the most modest form of love. It is the kind of love that does not appear in the scriptures or the gospels. No one swears by it, no one cites it. It has no special emblems or symbols, nor does it lead to the crime or prompt envy. It appears wherever we take a close and careful look at another being, at something that is not ourself. Tenderness is spontaneous and disinterested. It goes far beyond empathetic fellow feeling. Instead, it is the conscious, though perhaps slightly melancholy, common sharing of fate. Tenderness is deep emotional concern about another being, its fragility, its unique nature, and its lack of immunity to suffering and effects of time. Tenderness perceives the bonds that connect us, the similarities and sameness between us. It is a way of looking that shows that the world as being alive, living, interconnected, cooperating with, and codependent on itself.
Thank you very much indeed. Beautiful words indeed. We're going to end tonight's program with a piece by Andrzej Panufnik, or I should say Sir Andrzej Panufnik. He defected to the United Kingdom in the early 1950s. He was a prolific pianist and composer. As I mentioned before, he even formed a piano duo with Lutosławski during the war, and he became the chief conductor of the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra for a couple of years, and then decided to devote himself entirely to composing. And he also wrote a fantastic violin concerto for Yehudi Menuhin, an absolutely wonderful piece, and has an equally amazing daughter, Roxana, who is a tremendous composer in her own right, living in the UK. We're going to play now a movement from his piano trio. was the Largo movement for piano trio by Sir Andrzej Panufnik, absolutely incredible Polish composer. And with that beautiful music, we've come sadly to the end of tonight's episode. Thank you very much indeed, Suzanne Katarzyna, for being here, for playing so beautifully, for speaking so beautifully, and for giving us a little of an insight into Polish music and Polish culture. I wish you all the very, very best. And I'm sure you're all raring to get back to live music in concert halls. But we're happy and very grateful to Arte that this is our little concert hall and reaching everybody around the world. If you've missed any episodes so far, please visit the Arte Media Library, where all of these concerts are available for 90 days. And that concludes this weekend, and we'll be back again next weekend for a brand new series of 3 concerts, as always, every Friday, Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Berlin time, or 1 p.m. in New York. That's 10 a.m. in San Francisco. And next Friday, which is the 19th of March, we'll be celebrating Denmark, and we're going to be taking a trip to Danish folk music with an absolutely phenomenal group of young performers. They're called Dreamers Circus. So tune in then, and until then, ladies, thank you very much indeed. Good night.